Chemical City Double Reeds is a full-service double reed shop specializing in the sale of instruments, cane, accessories, and sheet music. Double Reed Dish listeners can enjoy free shipping with code DRDISH, all caps, no spaces. Visit them in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or online at chemicalcityreeds.com.
Consider buying your processed oboe and bassoon cane from those friendly folks over at Barton Cane. Processed with care and precision for your everyday reed-making needs. Take the pain and injury out of reed-making by letting Barton Cane do the hard, repetitive, boring stuff. Free up time for practicing, happy hours, hikes, baking, and spending time with friends and family. Barton Cane, here for you. Visit www.bartoncane.com.
Hi, I'm Galit Kaunitz.
And I'm Jackie Wilson, and you're listening to Double Reed Dish,
a podcast for oboists,
bassoonists,
and the people who love them.
Happy anniversary, my love.
Happy anniversary, my beautiful podcast friend.
5 years. Can you believe it?
No.
I remember being like, when we started it, Chris and I talking about it, and me being like, we don't have the time. And he was like, I'm sure after you get your routine, it's just lather, rinse, repeat. And it really is. Just one episode becomes 2 episodes, becomes 5 years of episodes.
Yesterday, I was talking to Becky and I was like, it's coming up to our 6th anniversary on the podcast.
It's not. Wait, is it? When did we start?
We started in 2016.
17,
so it's 5.
18, 20, 20. Yeah, it's 5. I thought it was 5. Wait, did we start in 2016 or 2015?
I'm pretty sure it was 2016.
I think you're right, but I thought I started working in Missouri in 2015, 2016 academic year, and we started in December.
Was it 2015?
The listeners are like, good God, lady.
Does anyone listen to the anniversary episode last year? Can you tell us what the number was?
True. That would be an easy way to do it. I'm scrolling episode. Andrew Brady, episode 1, 5 years ago. 5 years.
5. Okay.
Yes.
5.
Thanks, SoundCloud.
I do this to Becky too. I'm like, how long have we been married? How long have we been together?
Oh, yeah. I feel like once you get like around 35,
it all bleeds together.
It does. I always have to ask Chris, like, how old am I?
How old am I?
Well, I did a Goog, and the traditional anniversary gift for 5 years is wood, which is pretty appropriate. Our instruments are wood, our reeds are wood. That doesn't have anything to do with anything, but
we're here.
And so I thought, especially because the podcast is such a advocate of puns as a love language, that we should play Would You Rather.
Oh boy.
So we've asked the listeners, and we will answer individually some would you rather double read questions. So, Galit, would you rather exclusively play in orchestra or in a chamber group for the rest of your life?
Well, I voted chamber group.
I'm with you. I would rather play in a chamber group for the rest of my career.
So the people who voted for orchestra are clearly wrong. Next.
Okay. Would you rather play second oboe for the rest of your life or play English horn for the rest of your life? And why?
English horn, obviously, because it's a solo instrument and we all know I need my cookies.
Well, 56% of people agree with you.
I'm shocked it was so evenly divided.
Well, here, I would propose and I don't know this for sure, I haven't looked deeply into the data, but I would guess that contra versus second bassoon is bringing that down. Like if we ask exclusively oboist, English or second, and bassoonist, contra or second, I would guess that
totally
bassoonists are going to want to play second more than, because the contrabassoon, it is not a solo instrument unless it's Mother Goose Suite, and then that is stressful. Yeah, so I would, and I also feel like just it's an expectation that an oboist gets exposure and does some English horn. Like that's just kind of normal. And I don't know that it's really the same on bassoon. Like maybe we've all played contra once on a band piece or something, but I don't know. Contra stresses me out, and second bassoon also stresses me out, but I think I'd rather be stressed out on something familiar than something unfamiliar.
Yeah, I totally get it. Like stressed out on an instrument that you understand.
Not, what is this giant fart machine I'm holding?
Okay, oboists, would you rather have a left F key or a low B flat key? I'm also shocked at this result. The right answer was low B flat key, but I was in the minority. Most of you voted for the left F key. What?
72% want a left F.
So you 72% want to cover those holes with your knees.
Well, here, let me be the voice of the people. How many times do you play an F versus the rate or ratio of low B flats that you encounter?
I mean, that's the only rationale that I can accept.
It's just that forked F is really that bad?
I mean, it depends on your oboe.
I feel like I'm opening up inadvertently a bucket of worms. I know y'all have forked F issues. And,
yeah, that's true. I'm about to get slammed.
Never meant to start a war.
Bassoonists, would you rather have an A flat, B flat trill key or a high F key?
Now here I was outvoted as well. The vast majority at 71% have said A flat, B flat trill. For me, it is a high F. Though, when I purchased my bassoon that I'm going to have for the rest of my life, my priorities were those two keys. I was like, I really want a bassoon that can do both of these. I didn't get it. I got an A flat, B flat trill key and not a high F key. I don't know. Maybe it's because high notes stress me out so much. But I would rather just have something that helps me out instead of prayer, which is basically my high F technique right now.
Pray and squeeze.
You can fake A flat, B flat trill keys, or
can you have that added or something?
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes before I had one, I'd just like leave them out, which I'm sure people are like, oh my God, clutching their pearls. But
how dare you?
But in a great world, we'd have both, right?
Yeah, sure. Oboists, would you rather perform La Scala or Tombo? And in this one instance, I side with the majority in Tombo with the rest of the 76%.
So full disclosure, I came up with the would you rather questions. And are these comparable? Is my perception as a bassoonist accurate that these are like comparable excerpts and that they're super exposed and fast and flashy?
Yeah, I would say so.
So what makes Tombo the preferable excerpt to you?
Well, as a piece, Tombo is more fun.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Tombo has multiple movements in different moods and has that beautiful minuet. I would rather do Tombo. Scala is just short and scary. Done.
And then it either went well or it didn't. Bassoonist, would you rather perform Rite of Spring or Ravel Piano Concerto? 68% say Rite of Spring. I'd rather play neither. Instances such as these are why I'd rather be in a chamber group for the rest of my life than play orchestra music. Honestly, like, I know I have 3 degrees in this instrument and it's technically how I pay my bills, but if I was asked to play principal on either of these pieces, I would like probably cry myself to sleep for a month straight. But if I had to, again, I think Rite of Spring is a better piece or would be my taste to play and rehearse and kind of live in. But I do think Ravel Piano Concerto is arguably a little more stressful that high E, the technique that's impossible. Oh, God bless. God bless y'all excerpt warriors who are living with both of these. And finally, would you rather, and why, play early music or new music? Now, this was nearly 50-50.
Mm-hmm. I would have to say new music, just because you can do it your way.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm an individual. You know what I mean? I got to have it my way.
I am so afraid of Baroque and early music because I'm like, they're experts and they know that the articulation should be exactly this, the vibrato should be this, the ornaments should be this. If it's French after this, you're right, it should be blah. And it's like, I know someone knows that and has very strong opinions of it, that I don't know any of that. And that I'm like, it's like when I went overseas
Stressful.
and I really didn't want to look like an American dummy. And so I had a hard time enjoying myself because the whole time I was like, am I coming across like an American dummy if I ask this question, buy this thing, eat this thing, do this thing?
And meanwhile, like they can just tell from our body language that we're American dummies. So
And that's how I feel with early music. Like people are like, oh yeah, Bach, this, that, the other. I love it. And I'm like, I'm so glad. It stresses me out. And I know a lot of bassoonists will like play the cello suites just like as a warm up to like live in and love. And I should probably do more of that. But performing it, holy moly.
you should live, laugh, love that Bach.
Yes. And Vivaldi stresses me out less. I feel like
Yeah,
it's a little
for
more
sure.
straightforward. But some of the stuff that basically I know enough to know that I don't know enough.
Oh yeah, same. I'm like, oh shoot, I used vibrato here.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Just give me some multiphonics and call it a day.
Oh, well, happy anniversary, girl. I'm so glad we're still here. Still crazy after all these years.
Whoa. I just heard the simultaneous sounds of all of our listeners turning this off.
Founded by Logan Esterling, Reed Design is pushing the boundaries of oboe and English horn reed making. They take the knowledge they've collected from hundreds of reeds and, with the power of machine learning, derive patterns and trends that accurately predict the characteristics of finished reeds while early in the sorting process. The result is quality reeds with characteristics you can count on. Using their products will save you valuable time and let you get back to what you love, making music. Visit www.reeddesign.io to learn more. That's REEDESIGN.io.
Specializing in the finest assortment of oboes, clarinets, bassoons, and their accessories, RDG Woodwinds serves musicians around the world. Their employees are all professional musicians who have a deep knowledge of the products that they sell. RDG's repair shop has an international reputation with a combined 100 plus years of service among the 5 repair technicians. Plain and simple, RDG provides excellent products and fabulous customer service. Visit them at rdgwoodwinds.com. They look forward to working with you.
We are so excited to speak with Yoshi Ishikawa, professor of bassoon at the University of Colorado Boulder. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
My pleasure.
I would love to start by asking you how you started playing the bassoon.
How did I start playing the bassoon? I believe I'm a typical bassoonist where in high school, band director asks, somebody just playing saxophone or clarinet, say, hey, would you like to play the bassoon because we're the bassoonists? That's exactly what happened to me. And I said, sure, what is it? But, literally, I was willing to do anything since I love playing music. And that's how my career in bassoon got started. I was playing clarinet until then.
So how did you decide, I think I'd like to be a professional musician, or can you talk us through the bassoon taking a prominent enough role in your life that it was something you decided to pursue as a career?
I always like to pursue and get into things that I like to do. And my parents never pushed me into doing or going to any field, unlike typical Asian parents. Hey, you must be a doctor or a lawyer. No, they didn't do that. And so I always loved music because my father was a classical music listener, lover. And as in high school, actually, I was advised by my band director, hey, you're really good with your fingers, and you do well, you're doing well in academics. I think you should become a dentist. That was my advice from my band director. I said, dentist? Why do I want to be a dentist? They make a lot of money, and you always have a job. And I said, but I despise dentists. I'm scared to go to dentist. There's no way I'm going to torture anyone being a dentist. Anyway, I was never convinced to become a dentist, and glad that I selected the field which I love, that is music. And I really didn't have a so-called career path of I am going to be an orchestral musician, or I'm going to be a teacher, but I wanted to do something in music because that's what my passion was.
So you were open to anything as long as it was in music.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And throughout my life, there were a few occasions which I thought, oh my gosh, what the hell am I doing in music? My brother has a bachelor's degree in engineering and aerospace, and yeah, he has a better car than I do. He makes more money than I do. I'm more educated than he is. What did I do wrong? Then I asked myself, my brother would come home, and first thing he would do is, he's an amateur musician, and he would pick up his guitar and play. And I said, what are you doing? And he's winding down from work. Ha ha. I do this for a living. I don't have to wind down. I'm glad I stayed in music, of course.
Would you talk us through your training and educational journey and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. I was born in Japan. I came to the United States when I was 11 years old as part of my father's business deal with a Japanese company. Since then, I remained in the United States, educated, and after graduating from high school, I attended the Northwestern University, where I pursued and received a degree in Bachelor of Music Education. That was my choice. I was just recommended, well, if you're going to music, you better have something that's worthwhile, so get an education degree. And I said, okay. Although I valued education, music education, but I knew at that time teaching in high school was not in my passion. So I continue, but I also knew that if I want to become a professional player or teacher other than high school, I need to be better. So I pursued my master's degree at Northwestern. Then after that, I went to University of Michigan to pursue my DMA. A semester before I finished my degree, I was hired at a tenure track position at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. So that's how I fell into my profession and my training in Bassoon. And I had several teachers at Northwestern. None of my teachers are alive anymore. Wilbur Simpson, who used to be the second bassoonist of Chicago Symphony, was my teacher. Really a fine influence in my career in terms of understanding what orchestra players do, which told me that's not what I wanted to do. Then I met Hugh Cooper, if not one of my most influential teachers in my life. He taught at the University of Michigan for a long time. He was the one who first explored and studied acoustics and developed a map, not design, which Puchner used to improve their instruments. And there are, from the 60s and 70s and 80s, model of Puchner called Cooper-Puchner bassoon that used his pattern as a basic design.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Cooper was one of the most brilliant individuals I have ever studied with, and most influential, since he was interested in everything that had to do with music as well as other forms of arts, literature. That interested me because I was interested in many things, and I was inspired by that. Hugh Cooper, I recall when for the first time that he had a dictionary on his desk, and he had a little mark in the dictionary. I think Webster, big thick dictionary. And I said, well, why is there a mark in there? I said, well, I'm reading the dictionary. I said, what do you mean you're reading the dictionary? She said, I'm reading the dictionary. I am on K. He was literally reading the dictionary.
I love that. What a cool way to follow your curiosity.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you know anything about Hugh Cooper, but he studied with Hans Meinig, the very famous Philadelphia repair or technician. Of course, Meinig and his family's name, there's a legacy behind that. And one of the interests of Cooper was how to make current bassoons up to the highest standard possible. And that's what Hans Meinig did, and that's why he was interested in. And so I learned from him by observing what he did to bassoons, and as a result of it, I'm able to rebuild instruments and service my own, other than any major key work. So I have never had my instruments serviced by anybody except me.
Wow. That is so cool. Have you ever played on a Cooper Puchner?
Oh, yeah. The University of Colorado has several copies, Cooper Puchners. They resemble more of older 8000 series instruments. Very light, very bright, but they're very nice instruments.
That's fascinating.
And you also studied with Norman Hertzberg.
Correct.
He's so known for his reed making, so it's interesting that you had this, great bassoon acoustical mindset, and then also this kind of the equivalent in the reed making world. Could we hear a little bit about Mr. Hertzberg?
I was fortunate to land a job immediately or right before I finished my last recital and submit my work at the University of Michigan. So when I went to teach, I felt that I needed more instruction. There were lots of issues that I said, I don't know how to solve this. I don't know how to do this. I needed to study. So I would almost every 2 weeks or so drive from Las Vegas to LA and took various lessons from different individuals, including Don Chrislieb, Alan Goodman, and finally Norman Hertzberg. I really enjoyed and appreciated Norman Hertzberg for the fact that I went to see Norman since he was extremely well known for being direct, that he would not hold anything back, but that's what I wanted. And I went to Mr. Hertzberg, so, tell me everything I'm doing wrong because I need to correct it. Anyway, the process that resulted in a very good relationship. He liked me and I liked him. At the same time, he was also making and experimenting and research on his reed machines. And I took very much interested in that. And in addition to having a bassoon lessons, I took lessons on reed making and learned quite a bit of his approach, his philosophies, and the reasons for why he built his machine. What's interesting about Hertzberg as compared to Cooper is Cooper had an approach to reed making that he did not use a profiler. He made his reeds using his pocket knife.
Wow.
But he had a very specific technique which resulted in a very accurate dimensional, especially in the back of making reeds. It's a process where identifying the certain thickness of the cane at a certain spot, and technique of peeling the cane, and when that's done, you get exact parallel, so-called the scrape of the back. Anyway,
he would peel it?
Yeah, he will peel it. Well, our cane is layered.
Yeah.
So if you will cut a wedge of the cane using dial indicator, find, let's say, a certain thickness. If you grab that and just simply pick up with a knife, you can peel it. And we'll deal with the thickness from that particular point to the back. Wow. So if you put a hose clamp at where the collar would be and find the exact measurement that you like in the back, you peel it and you can just peel that off and you have exact circle at the beginning of a true parallel scrape reeds. But anyway, Cooper was to the point that you cannot use machine because it results in compression, which it does. Mm-hmm. But Hertzberg was into absolute symmetry anyway, and his machine produces absolutely incredibly symmetrical reeds. and very accurate reads. But I was fortunate enough to learn one technique which also produced very accurate reads, but in a very artistic way, where Herzberg is extremely calculated way. And so I learned both ways. But regardless, I liked Herzberg's technique. I liked the fact that his machine produced extremely consistent profile that when, for anybody who knows how to, who are taught how to use this machine, can duplicate it. As opposed to Cooper's method may require a little bit of trial and error. It's not it's more of a, like painting, and it requires certain ability to do so. But Herzberg has been a great influence in my life as well. His discipline, his approach, his philosophies, and as combined to the total opposite approach of Hugh Cooper. So I tried to digest both and use the best parts of both.
Mm-hmm. I've also had a lot of varied teachers, and I also love that some of their methods are complete opposites. How do you incorporate those into your teaching? Are there some philosophies where you're like, oh, I'll take that one, and I'll take that one, and I'll take that one? Or are you able to be a chameleon? Mm-hmm. Whatever the student needs, you have it.
I use technique that worked for me and relay that to students. For example, Herzberg's absolute discipline associated with developing clean and meticulous technique through the use of etudes. I find that to be extremely valuable and important, and I do instill that in my students as well. The melody scale set is the Bible. You have to be able to play it, not just go through it, but play it accurately, as well as other etudes. I also value what Cooper told me in terms of mechanics. You have to have the right setup to be able to realize or to become a musician or be able to play the bassoon well. Anything that's as a cause of, let's say, because the bassoon is not properly maintained, you are out of tune, etc., it's not acceptable, and you should be aware of that. I also value Cooper's global knowledge. In other words, in realizing and understanding music, not just playing notes, not just listening to recording, but knowing a little bit more about the composer, knowing the history, understand the harmonic language, not like theorists, but to basically know, oh, it's in the key or it doesn't modulate, it's chromatic, will help students to clearly come up with their own unique interpretive ideas as opposed to copying. So I'm hoping that I'm able to use both, and since neither contradicted each other, they all pursue the same goal of teaching students how to be independent and to promote excellence and perfection, or try to achieve as near perfection as possible in what they do.
Could you talk to us about starting and winning your job at the University of Colorado, and maybe if you could mix in some hints or advice, rather, for people listening who are still pursuing an academic career path?
I think one of the most important components of acquiring a job is to have known or to have networked and built connections, professional connection with others. And that only can be done with individual work, where often by doing projects, realizing, for example, what you do, by doing things that benefit others or that others would be attracted to, is one of the best ways to let yourself know and for others to be interested in who you are and what you're able to do. When at the University of Nevada, I had a couple of wonderful opportunities to do that. And one was to create a professional woodwind quintet, which we toured and received grants and commission. Another was that my opportunity to be involved in International Double Reed Society. and which I started to be involved in 1980s. But the quintet, through our performances, through our outreach programs, as well as touring, I was able to connect with the teachers and also present master classes at universities. And that helped me to connect with key or important individuals or well-known individuals. And one so happened to be Ron Klimko. I don't know if you know Klimko. He was the editor of the Bassoon of the Double Reed publication. Anyway, because I had this connection, when the University of Colorado vacancy occurred, Klimko was asked to be the one-year interim bassoon faculty at University of Colorado. But that was only for 1 year since he was the professor at University of Idaho. And I later discovered, recommended to the chair of the search committee, by the way, you should contact Yoshi. He may be a good job for him. Or you may like him. And I didn't know that, but at the same time, while I was on tour with the quintet, I applied to the job. So happened to be that I sent in my application via FedEx on the last day. But the two connections were the chair of the search committee at that time knew of me because of Ron Klimko that I had a connection with. Well, eventually I got the job. So it's establishing the network to getting to know others, and that is through work, like I stated, that will benefit others, has the best impact. I mentioned IDRS. I hosted the 1987 IDRS conference in Las Vegas, actually, before maybe both of you were born.
I was 3.
Too.
And my goal at that time is that I attended a couple of other IDEAS conferences, but I thought, it needs to be better than, it needs to be upgraded. But anyway, I hosted it, and that so happened to be, had the biggest turnout of 500 and was very, very successful. And also, then I got involved into IDRS executive board, and I was a president for a while, or for a 4-year term, and got involved in creating various projects. And through my, again, work with IDRS and the quintet, I began to also receive invitation to do other things, master classes, not only in the United States, but from Asia, because I'm Japanese. And I took advantage of that, and that everything just worked out really well for me.
Tell us more about the Asian Double Reed Association.
Yes. Asian Double Reed Association was initially conceived in 2005, 10 years prior to the IDEAS conference in Tokyo, Japan. By that time, I traveled to Japan quite a few times and established a good professional relationship with key colleagues and key teachers, and planted a seed in them that I would love to see the IDEAS conference somewhere in Asia, and why not be Tokyo, where I'm sure maybe many people will be interested in coming. But there was one big problem to solve in Japan, and also true in Asia. And that is in Japan and other Asian countries, the practice of mentorship governs both the orchestra world as well as professional world of music. Meaning that it's extremely important for an individual to have studied with a teacher if you want to have a position, similar position in that orchestra or in that teaching position. And of course, only the qualified individuals will receive it. But usually if you become a member of a certain orchestra, they've studied with a teacher there, and then they have subsequently traveled to Germany and did further study, won competition, came back. But that connection is extremely important. As a result of that, the double reed world in Japan at that time was very tribal, meaning that relationship, this teacher and their tribe or their studio was protected and guarded, and maintained its own independence, although they respected and got together with others. But that was a very, very important so-called philosophy, if not practice, to follow. So in order to host a conference in Japan, we need to somehow unite these tribes in Japan and other Asian countries which have a similar approach, as well as to be able to merge bassoonists and oboists, which is unheard of in Japan. Why should we hang around with oboists? different world.
I agree.
So they said, well, one solution is, let's create an Asian double reed association, where represented by all the top teachers in Asia, and through their sponsorship, then we should be able to host a conference, double reed conference in Japan, because it's not hosted by one tribe from Tokyo associated with NHK Symphony Orchestra, but Asian Double Reed Association, which a main principal bassoonists of X, Y, and Z Orchestra from here, all belong, as well as from China and others. Well, that became extremely successful in the sense that, like I stated, I discovered through my travels that approach to so-called approach of apprenticeship existed in China, in Korea, not so in Thailand, maybe in Philippines, but it was pretty much universal in the area, and they all liked the idea. And we also and group of the top teachers and players got together and said, decided to host a conference of Asian Double Reed Society every 3 years if possible, and we did so. First one being at the Mahidol University in Thailand. Second one being at in Taiwan as part of Jai International Music Festival, and third one being the Tokyo, Japan, where it was the IDRS conference as endorsed and co-sponsored by the Asian Double Reed Association. We kept on that tradition, and subsequently we had a conference in Beijing in 2019, actually in December, where I was there at Minzu University right before the COVID outbreak, where many individuals from all these Asian countries got together and in performance, master classes, and academic presentations at Minzu University. So that's the history of Asian Double Reed Association. We have been pretty quiet recently for the past couple of years for obvious reasons, and many things have been canceled. But as you are aware, 2023, a conference after the IDRS at Boulder will be held at Mahidol University, our College of Music, where Chris Shaw, my colleague, who is American, but professor of bassoon at Mahidol University, who is also one of the founding members of the Asian Double Reed Association, will host a conference. And in China, Li Lansong, who is the professor at the Beijing Conservatory, holds every 3 years Beijing International Bassoon Festival, where more than 1,000 Chinese students will get together and perform and present master classes and invite guests. And they also have the Beijing Oboe Festival with similar turnout, hosted by Weiwei, and both the Wei and as well as Li Lansong are also the member of the Asian Double Reed Association. And I am now encouraging and working with them to hopefully to be able to bring good Asian representatives to the IDRS conference at 2021 in Boulder. And that is all, if considering all the visa and vaccine and other technical aspects are resolved.
Well, you mentioned IDRS 2022 in Boulder, and I have a two-part question. Yes. The first would be, you've hosted one before. You're planning one now. Talk to us a little bit about what goes into planning an IDRS conference and what your goals are. And then, of course, my second part is talk to us about how we are all supposed to make reeds at that high of altitude and how excited you are to be the only one who sounds good. I'm kidding.
Well, you need to do certain prayers and certain voodoo movements, and soakyu reed and kimchi, I guess.
The most delicious read ever.
That's right. Let that little fermentation take you out the fiber to be able to be broken down.
That's the kind of altitude training I'm here for.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Peter Cooper and I, he's the co-host, are planning to put together a program that would, again, be appealing to many. Especially, we would love to encourage younger professionals, students to attend, to be inspired by great performances, by top performers, emerging performers, to be discovered performers from the United States as being Europe. We have plans for traditional showcase evening recitals featuring, again, leading established players, as well as series of diverse programming featuring younger players, and hopefully to be discovered or to have should be discovered new works by underrepresented composers, mixed with traditional important canons of repertoire, and master classes and interesting lectures. And of course, we can't forget the exhibitors and displays where we want to get as many instrument makers and trinket makers to attend. So that is our plan. I think the difficulty is, all right, what can we expect? Will Europeans and Asians easily be able to come to the United States? Right. How would people feel about the COVID situation? Knowing comfort is that Boulder, 98% at the University of Colorado Boulder, we are all vaccinated. And Boulder has a very high vaccination rate. And
that's amazing.
Boulder also led the study and as well as the guidance for the safe playing condition for wind players, and the researchers at the university did that. So they're coming to extremely conscious and carefully monitored location. So that's the other side of the coin that is worrying us, but hoping for the best. Yeah. Of course, the greatest challenge is to be able to accommodate as many artists as we can. We want people to be able to perform. I started my career as a young professional. To be able to play for the first time at the Ideas Conference was really a big asset to me, where only a handful of individuals were in the audience, but they heard me, there was recording. I could say I played at the Ideas Conference, so that was a really fantastic stepping stone in blowing my own whistle, as well as, and hopefully somebody heard me say, oh, no, okay, he's not bad as I thought he was.
And I love what you said about networking earlier, where it's really important for people to know you, but to know you within a context Correct. That is substantial and not vapid. You know, we can often see networking as something that is a little bit superficial, but you know, when you're at a conference like this, you truly bump into people from all over the world, and everyone is there just geeking out about the same stuff. And it's a really amazing way to be exposed and, you know, be exposed as a professional, but also be exposed to other ideas and other people. And it's just irreplaceable. I really miss it. I can't wait for Boulder.
Yeah. Well, I hope everybody comes. Boulder is also a beautiful location. I don't know if you've ever been to Boulder, but it's at the foothills, and the weather's great. Great food scene, and hopefully restaurants will be fine by then. And outdoor, of course, activities are numerous here. And regarding Rees, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. And for Peter and I put together a guide, high altitude reads, and placed it on idrs2022.org. So you can read up on it. Peter, I know as an oboist, has the reed making down cold for this.
He's amazing.
Absolutely. I love playing with him, and he is absolutely amazing. Yes. And I have learned to cope and hopefully to be able to deal with it. But I think it's more of getting accustomed to the environment, thinner air. So you may think it's really so hard, but actually it's when you become acclimated, you will have more air and room to use it more efficiently. So we'll compensate. But there are various techniques, and key is then it's so dry, so the reed takes a while to absorb, and only will absorb so much water. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you the opposite, the truth, the dryness and reeds. I remember going to Tokyo for the first time and to perform, and of course I was living here. Oh my gosh! And while doing the rehearsal, I took my reed and I'm soaking. Because that's what I do here. Otherwise, I can't play. And I look at my colleague, and I saw my colleague laying the bassoon on desk upside down. I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "Yeah, I'm drying my reeds." I said, "What do you mean you're drying your reeds?" Well, if I soak it will be too wet. I won't be able to play it. Here I had so I took my reed out, and the opening is about 3 millimeters.
Oh gosh, just waterlogged.
Yeah, waterlogged. So I learned my big lesson. So when you come here, make sure you soak your reed.
Yeah, bring lots of water.
Yeah, a little longer than you usually do in New Orleans, for example.
I'm in really big trouble. I'm in such big trouble. We're like tropical down here.
Oh, okay.
I'm a half mile, so I won't be in as bad as situations as other people, but not quite as high as Boulder.
Yeah. Sea level to Boulder is going to be tough.
Yeah. What's really interesting is that I don't know anything about oboe reeds, but for bassoon reed, I found that reeds made with a slightly thicker gouge.
That's interesting, yeah, because then you can take more off.
Correct, and also thicker gouge uses the more porous part of the cane that absorbs more water and retain more water. So in addition to being softer, the cane could be thicker and using part that absorbs and retain water. And that seemed to help bassoon reeds as opposed to if it's too thin, then of course it dries out very, very quickly, even though you're playing in your mouth and humidity level is high. But the effective dryness contributes. So.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Thank you for that tip.
Shifting gears a little bit, one thing that I really admire about your career, one reason I was attracted to higher education was I was really attracted to this idea of creative activity and getting to do projects. And when I think of your career, I think of all of these concerto engagements and international performing. And so I wonder if you could tell us about some of those projects that you've engaged in your professorship and what it's like performing all around the world. I know we talked a little bit about that with Reeds and the Double Reed Society, but I'm now wondering about you, the artist.
Oh, sure. I think what the academia encourages, as you know, is to promote the university, and for individuals in non-arts field, they publish. But as you're aware, what's most important about being a musician? Well, you have to play your instrument and you have to demonstrate it and perform. And university, for me, has provided me the time as well as funding and support to be able to do so. Meaning that there are very successful individuals, but I can only count with one hand, who could make a career as a solo bassoonist.
Right.
Or who could command respectable or a very good wage to perform a concerto with the orchestra. Actually, if you think about bassoon concertos or oboe concertos, they feature the principal players of that orchestra when they do so.
Right.
So that I was able to, therefore, with the support of the university, as well as their endorsement, was able to accept many engagements where my objective was that I'm going over there so I can make money and pay my bill. But here's an opportunity. Okay, you pay me so much. Okay, that's okay. Because I am being supplemented by the university, so it's not going to hurt me. Actually, it's going to help me with my career. So I accept and never say no about these performances. And at the same time, I would say, well, if you want, I'll be glad to present a master class. They said they can't pay me. I said, that's okay. In many respects, university is paying me, so I'll be glad to work with you students.
Right.
Which they loved, and I did. And by doing so, I was able to realize two things. One, my artistic endeavors and be able to play and for others to hear me, as well as to really show what an American style of playing is. I'm Japanese, educated in the United States, and my style of playing is American. There's no question about it. As you know, European approach to bassoon playing, or especially oboe playing, is different. Mm-hmm. And majority of, especially Asian countries, until most recently, students would often go to Germany or Italy, or especially Germany, to study. So their approach is European. Mm-hmm. And only in the past couple of decades where graduates from university, U.S. university schools of music agents going back to their countries and to teach and to teach the style, American styles, to their students. But I was able to promote that, and I believe they like it. I think American orchestras are incredible, and the players, of course, it's a different style, not better, but different style than Europeans. So I was able to do that, to promote the American style of playing, as well as to promote myself as an artist, and to be able to further network, especially with key teachers. Remember, teachers are the very important head of the tribe, right? Mm-hmm. In different Asian countries, mm-hmm. and establish these networks. And they're also extended not into Asia, and also to Europe as well. Australia, again, I feel extremely fortunate that I was able to do so.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely love that, instead of just being European focused, we can branch out into other countries and, mm-hmm. Really learn from other styles. And mm-hmm. the, globalization can be very controversial, but there are so many benefits to, ADRA and IDRS mm-hmm. and all of these different styles of double reed playing, enhancing each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to postpone my next actually engagement was supposed to be this weekend in Lyon, France. I was supposed to do masterclass and teach at the Lyon Conservatory, but I had to cancel that. Carlo Colombo, I don't know if you know that name. Mm-hmm. He is the principal bassoonist of Lyon National Opera. And he's a professor at the Conservatoire Superior at Lyon Conservatory. And we met, actually, both of us met in Beijing, of all things. We were both there as a guest artists during the Beijing Bassoon Festival, and he was in the same program that I was in, and we got to know each other and heard each other play. And subsequently, he's been to Japan as well, and I met him there and I worked with him. Then through that network, he invited me to Lyon a few years ago. I invited him to Colorado. Now he invited me back. And interesting to hear musicians in Europe, by the way. I think they're being more Americanized. In other words, their approach to playing, yes, and the concept of sound resembles more of synthesis of the best of two worlds. Mm-hmm. And it was really delighted to work with them, and also was delighted to know that they were interested in what I had to say, as opposed to, stupid Japanese American here. What does he know about chansons? But the master class I presented, they wanted me to work with chansons with them, because chansons is a Mozart equivalent to auditions in France. And of course, they play incredibly well, but I gave my 2 cents worth, and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that would be really intimidating to coach Sanson in France. I
Well, where the Italian French teacher is listening and like to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But everybody's so open. Again, globalization, everybody's so aware.
I would love to hear about a favorite memory you have of a past performance. Do you have any standouts
Oh,
from
yeah.
your long and illustrious career?
Well, actually, I had one recently, and I'm very proud to say it, and I'm delighted to say it because I gave a faculty recital on October the 12th, and during which I played Higdon's Darkwood. I don't know if you ever played that particular piece for violin, piano, and cello. And I also commissioned Corinne Fujiwara, Japanese-American composer, to write a piece for Peter Cooper and me and a string quartet. And a string quartet, by the way, which the IDRS conference will be in residence. The second violin, so that string quartet happens to be my daughter.
Aww.
A Carpe Diem
So
string quartet.
sweet.
And also, my wife is a pianist. So for the recital, which is Faculty Tuesday, which has a really very successful and large following at Boulder, I performed John Higdon's piece with my daughter, violin, and with my wife, piano, and members of Carpe Diem and cello. And to be able to play work at the level that I thought we did, which I was extremely satisfied with, and also the type of music, Higdon's music is pretty incredibly hard. I sweated over that. It's extremely satisfying. And also to have a rehearsal where I'm playing with my daughter, and I thought, oh my gosh, she's playing better than I am. I kept on making mistakes and I'm getting lost, and she's not. Oh boy, I better get practice for.
Oh.
For the simple reason that she's been playing almost every day, touring, playing all these repertoire, and so that was really a rewarding experience.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
that's
sounds so
beautiful.
special. We always close with the question, what advice do you have for a young musician who aspires to have a career like yours?
I think it's extremely important for all of us to have a goal that is based on realizing your passions. And if you have that passion, and you also have to be realistic, meaning if I had a passion to becoming a professional basketball player, I need to be told I'm wrong. There's no way somebody like me could become a basketball player. I just don't have the aptitude, height, or coordination, period. But anyway, I think with a goal in mind and if you pursue it with patience, you will get it. And in the pathway, in your pursuit of your goal, everyone will come across a fork road where you have to reassess, which is okay. But that reassessment and acquiring that goal is based on the original goal, and you're simply refining it. But if you follow that dream and that philosophy and work very hard at it, I think most people will get it. Most people will be able to realize it. It may take a while, but we'll realize it. We just need to be tenacious. And without a goal, then there's no motivation, perhaps. So that's my advice. I must say that I feel that I am extremely fortunate and lucky to be where I am, to gotten what I have, and if I could be of help to anyone and guiding anyone or advising anyone so that they too can be useful, I'd be glad to do so. So just reach out to me.
Yoshi Ishikawa, thank you so, so much for spending an hour with us on Double Reed Dish. We really can't thank you enough.
My pleasure. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it.
We hope you enjoyed that episode. Thank you for 5 wonderful years. Y'all are the best.
We love you so much.
Also, it's officially Hanukkah now.
Happy Hanukkah!
Happy Hanukkah, Galit.
Go check out that Hanukkah merch.
Absolutely. And it's also December as of y'all listening to this. So if Christmas is your thing, we've got Christmas merch up on the website. And also some winter merch if neither Hanukkah nor Christmas is your thing. Go for it.
Yeah. Let it crow, let it crow, let it crow.
Amen. Follow us on social media. You know the drill. Galit, who's coming up on the next episode?
We are so happy to feature a wonderful interview with Sue Tomkowitz, professor of oboe at Columbus State University. Jackie, we got to end this nerd parade.
Go make reads.